So for today, I would just start with getting comfortable with Git and using it as a local repository. Uh, in the future videos, I'll show you how to use it with the remote repository as well. But the beauty of Git is that you can just use it on your local machine just for yourself, and still you'll be having all the advantages of source control. So first of all, what I would do is, let's say I have, you will have to install, if you're using Windows, you will have to install Git for Windows. You can just go to Google and just search Git for Windows, and then you can just click on this and you will see that there is this exe which you can download, and it will actually install everything you need for getting started with Git. Uh, the things which it will give you are, for example, the Git GUI as well as the Git bash. The Git bash is my favorite because it's easy to write commands and just get results. And once you are familiar with it, this is very efficient. So let me show you, if you have a blank folder, how I will start with Git. What I would do is, first of all, I would say Git bash here. I would create a bash, open a bash window here. And before we even get started with Git, we need to have some project. Let's say I have a folder and this contains my files. Let's say this is my project. And this is the project which you want to source control. And within that project, you have some files. Let's say in order to build some files or some code, let's say what I do is I actually just open my Visual Studio Code, which is my editor, but you can use any other editor. And what I do is what I can do is I can just go ahead and add some, let's say, files here. For that matter, I'm adding HTML and let's say some code here and a basic HTML page. All right, so this is my project which just has one file, which is index.html, and I want to source control it. So the first thing which I would do is I'll just go to this git bash and I will write the first command to initiate a Git repo. And the command is git init. All right. There is one mistake here. I should have gone to my project first. And here I should have done git init. What git init does is basically it creates a hidden folder and contains all the files related to the repo. So I'll just delete this one, and I'm actually creating a project which is my project. So the index file has to be inside this folder, my project. And just a second. Yeah, so this is the folder I have to use. All right. And now what I will do is my git init will initiate a repository here. Okay, once the repository is initiated, I have to push some changes. And in order to push the changes, I have to first add, mention what are my changes. So there is a command which is called git add dot, which will add all the pending changes to the Git. Now there are actually concepts called pending changes and staged changes. So basically what happens is that all the changes which you make inside a folder are pending changes. But if you want to push them to the repo, there is one more state which is called stage changes. So you move the pending changes to the stage changes. And then when you commit, all your stages changes are committed to the repo. But don't worry about all of that right now. Just if you run git add dot, it adds all your pending changes to the stage changes. And then if I say git commit, which is a commit command, and I say initial commit. Okay, there is a switch because I'm actually trying to write a message. So I have to say switch message M, and then initial commit is the commit message. So here is the first commit, which is the initial commit. And here you will see that I should be able to see it here in the source control tab now. If I go here in the commits page, here you will see the initial commit is also showing. So this source control is part of the Visual Studio Code project. So you can actually drive all your source control through Visual Studio itself, but I'm showing you from the how to do it from the shell, because some of you might not be using Visual Studio Code. All right, so now my initial commit is done. I can actually see my changes, commits here as well. And you will see that git log is the command to see all my previous commits. From here on, if I go in index file and I start making more changes, let's say I want to add a title tag. This is a sample title. And now what I can do is I can actually push this small change as a separate commit. And in order to do that, again, if I want to do it from the git bash, I have to just write those two commands again, which is git add dot, which will add all my pending changes to state changes, and then git commit message. And the message would be, let's say, added title tag. Here you go. So my next commit is also done. And if I go in git log, I would see that there are two commits now. And at any time, I can just revert back to initial commit. I can undo all these, any commit, and I can, traverse through the history. So the advantage of this is that all my changes are in control. At any given time, I am sure that I can always at least go back to the last committed version of my code. Now, let's say if I again go to this project and I say by mistake, I just removed this title and, let's say I just removed it. And that's what happens if you are not source controlling your code, that by mistake something happens and you have to, it takes you a lot of time to figure out what the problem is. But here it's very simple. I just go here in the source control page, I just click on this and I can see the changes. Okay, so this is deleted because this is in red. So I can either just paste it here or I can just revert the changes altogether and I'll be back to my last committed uh, version of my code. And if you see that this is all happening locally, there is no remote repository being used here, which is the case with, let's say, other version controls other than Git. But here it's like awesome. I mean, you can be in control of your changes. In the next video, I'm going to show you how to push these changes to your, if you create a remote repository, if you have more than one developer and you want to collaborate, you need to have one central repository somewhere on the server. So I'll show you how you can actually push your repository to a remote repository or clone a remote repository and start collaborating. And then there will be more videos about some hacks, or I would say workarounds on how to maybe change the messages or remove some of the commits in history, or maybe authenticating yourself with a different user if you're already authenticated with one user and things like that. So thank you for watching this video. Hope you enjoyed it and see you soon in the next video. Thank you.